Dirty Dan. I don't know what you mean. I'm Dirty Dan.
It's absolutely amazing.
I'm Dirty Dan.
Whoa, Dirty Dan.
Accidents in the workplace. For those of y'all who have to, go out there and do shit. Tragedies can fall anytime. I mean, even if you work from home, shit. You work from home and you're in a area that has bad weather, tornadoes or whatever the fuck. You can still be hoed.
A 51-year-old Chinese woman named Zhang tried to defy the laws of physics. She was working at a garment factory in Taizhou when two of her colleagues decided to take a dangerous risk. They loaded 52 metal sheets weighing 4 tons onto a forklift, fully aware they were exceeding the weight limit by half a ton. So, to outsmart gravity, the worker sat on the back of the forklift to counterbalance the weight, but he obviously didn't weigh 500 kilograms. As a result, the forklift tipped forward, lifting its rear wheels off the ground. The next 15 seconds were the last of Zhang's life. Still, her tragic story is just the first in a series of eerie ways to lose one's life at the workplace. So, viewer discretion is advised.
Why would you think standing on the back? Why would you think you're that heavy? Let's go.
Breaking the
I know a lot of this shit is gonna be from lack of common sense and probably stupidity, but come on, bro. Really, my nigga? Really, my nigga?
The laws of physics is definitely risky, but creating the illusion that you've bent them is a different story. I'm talking about the sponsor of this video, Moviglas, working off foolishly hoping to 37 p.m. when Zhang reflexively rushed to help her colleagues, foolishly hoping to stop the vehicle with her bare hands. Yet the laws of physics are unyielding. When Zhang was lifted off the ground, she lost her grip and fell under the forklift. At that moment, the metal sheets slipped and the rear wheels came crashing down directly on her. To make matters worse, the panicked driver hit the gas, pulling Zhang even further under the machine.
Damn.
It was still 1:47 p.m. and only 15 seconds had passed. Factory workers couldn't free Zhang from the trap, and when rescuers arrived, all they could do was confirm her death. This tragedy could have been avoided if the workers had used the forklift properly. Conscious disregard for safety rules is one of the leading causes of workplace death. However, the consequences don't always fall on those who break the rules. The first thing 21-year-old Dave Davis did at his new job was snap a photo and send it to his fiancée. Not long before, they had lost their newborn daughter, a tragedy that pushed Davis, who had a reputation for slacking off, to turn his life around. At 2 p.m. on August 16, 2012, Davis reported to work at Rum Factory No. 7 in Jacksonville, Florida. He had taken a temporary job there for modest pay, but he was proud. It was his first day at his first ever job after graduating. Davis worked on a palletizer, a machine that packs and stacks cases of filled bottles onto a pallet. They roll down the line, get compressed into a square, and then the platform lowers the completed pallet. Sometimes, though, the bottles would collide and break, covering the conveyor with glass and sticky rum. This had been happening for years, yet no one seemed to care, except for the palletizer operators, who had to stop the machine and clean it manually. That day was no different. The operators halted the conveyor, and at 4:46 p.m., Davis ducked underneath it to clean up the glass. Workers were afraid of delaying production, so they did everything as quickly as possible, even if it meant compromising their own safety. After shutting down the machine, they were supposed to lock it to prevent it from being turned back on. Then, they were meant to place special supports under the platform to ensure it couldn't lower while someone was underneath. However, this time, the workers didn't do any of this to avoid wasting precious minutes. So, when the supervisor and operator finished cleaning the conveyor above Davis, they closed the gates and restarted the machine. It was exactly 4:49 p.m. when the factory was pierced by David's scream, as he was crushed by cases of bottles weighing over 900 kilograms. Rescuers arrived within minutes, but Davis was already gone. Had the factory owners fixed the palletizer and not forced workers into situations where they feared taking time for their own safety, this wouldn't have happened. nor would the many other accidents involving temporary workers in the U.S., who face a significantly higher risk of injury on the job than full-time ones. In Florida, this rate is 50% higher, in Oregon, 66%, and in Minnesota, a staggering 72%. However,
funny.
other workers who have worked with their equipment for a long time and with great success
sucks,
often become so confident in their abilities that they simply disregard safety.
Unless it was an incident.
This happened at a snack factory in the Chinese city of Dalian. It was 5 p.m. on June 27, 2022. A man, whose identity remains unknown, was working near a lathe. He spent less than a minute prepping the machine, and only after pressing the start button did he realize his fatal mistake. But it was too late. The man was pulled into the lathe, spinning at a terrifying speed for a full 10 seconds, until his colleagues shut down the machine.
How?
They were horrified by what they saw because, despite the gruesome injuries, the man was still breathing. It sounds unbelievable, yet doctors managed to save the guy, and he survived. Now, another worker wasn't so lucky in the winter of 2019. He was working with metal near a similar machine, dressed in protective gear, but for some reason he didn't bother to follow another safety rule. Instead of walking around the lathe to turn it on, the man leaned over the spindle to do it. At that moment, a part of his protective clothing got caught in the machine, dragging him right in after. Within seconds, his agony was over, and he passed away on the spot. Accidents like these are so common that it's worth reminding everyone about the importance of following all safety rules when working with equipment, especially machinery with fast-moving parts.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really have a lot of fears, but for some reason, working in like big industrial plants or like factories and shit like that, where machines like that can dead-ass murk you if you're in the wrong place or do some dumb shit. That's always been like a little, I guess a little phobia of mine. I'm not scared of that shit, but like, nigga, I don't give a fuck how much bread they're paying me an hour. For some reason, I can never get myself to be like, nah, I do some shit like that. Because I had opportunities like, yeah, bro, you can come work in this little factory or whatever. But it was like some packing place. And they had some, they had some shit. It was like packing, I'm like, I just can't fuck with the machines, bro. Because, even if you have to go back and clean them, like, let's just say, even when I was working at Panera Bread, they have them they have literally walk-in ovens where you have to walk inside the oven and clean it and shit. And I'd be like, bro, just what if one day I just fuck around, I'm in here, something malfunctions, this bitch turns on, it just goes on broil. My whole shit just gets cooked. Like, I'm literally in here. This shit is like, you know what I'm saying? If you know about Panera, you know what I'm saying? The ovens is deep as a bitch. So every time I went in there, I was nervous. I watched too much like fucked up movies and stuff and Final Destination and shit like that. I'm like, So working in those type of environments always kind of mess with my brain meats. I mess with my brain meats.
However, in the Indian city of Surat, a textile factory worker was tinkering around a spinning machine wearing just jeans and a t-shirt. His job was to control the speed and tension of the threads winding onto a spool. It seemed like nothing dangerous. Suddenly, his hand got tangled in one of the threads, and he was instantly wrapped around the giant spool.
Fun fact, even to this day, so I got locked in a walk-in freezer before, and I forgot what job that was. But so now they have like little latches on them. Every time I walk into a walk-in, I always throw the latch on. And every time I work with people, it don't matter what job I'm at. The one I'm at now, they dead ass be like, bruh, why do you always do that? Why you always do that? I'm like, bro, I have PTSD. I dead ass got locked in one of them bitches. But I'm a polar bear. I was Gucci because I knew eventually, if I really had to, I could have broke the door down. If I really had to. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't like panicky, but I was in that bitch long enough. I was like, bro, I'm banging on this bitch. I'm literally banging on this bitch. I'm not screaming or anything, but I'm like, I'm in this bitch for at least a cool 5 or 6 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Longer than I need to be. And I'm like, all right, well, the fuck? Like, I done watched movies before. Like, yeah, there's plenty of people around. It's kind of busy. I know niggas are gonna open this. I know they're around, so I'm not gonna panic. But I was just like, bruh, Okay, so what if? And then in my head, I was like, wait, what if it's so busy niggas forgot that I was working? You know what I'm saying? And I'm actually stuck in here for like an hour or some shit. And so I was like, hold on. So ever since then, I always throw a little latch on.
Body twisted and cocooned in threads like a spider's web. This nightmare lasted about 7 seconds before the spool finally stopped. Other workers rushed over to free their colleague from the trap.
Yeah,
they cut the threads and
like
carefully laid him on the ground, afraid that every move could worsen his condition. They probably remembered the warning from the president of the Federation of Weavers' Welfare Associations that an accident involving a spinning machine almost always means certain death. This time, though, a miracle happened. The man calmly stood up and dusted himself off, suffering only a few bruises. Well, if he had been working with a paper machine, like the person in the next story, he wouldn't have had even a slim chance of survival. I don't know the worker's name or the exact location of where this video was filmed, but the footage is dated June 22nd, 2023 at 8:55 a.m. Two workers were at a factory near a roller press, feeding paper strips onto it. This massive metal cylinder spins rapidly, just 10 centimeters above the floor. When a wide strip of paper fell off the conveyor, one worker simply tossed it back onto the roller, but suddenly, he was also pulled into the machine. His body was dragged down until it vanished into the 10-centimeter gap under the press. Panic erupted. Workers tried to rescue the poor man, but it took them a full minute to stop the roller. Perhaps they didn't know how to shut down the machine in an emergency, or maybe the necessary button was too far away, or even inaccessible to them. In any case, the violation of safety rules claimed yet another life. Such irresponsibility causes suffering for people worldwide and in all kinds of jobs. For example, what could possibly be dangerous on a ship that is already docked in port? In reality, that's when one of the deadliest incidents can happen.
My bad.
You've probably never heard of a snapback zone, but the crews of large vessels have special markings and signs warning about this area. This man, who was mooring a ship on February 9th, 2021, should have been aware of it. He was using a large winch to wind one of the ropes holding the ship at the dock. Yet when a thicker section of the rope appeared on the screen, it suddenly tightened and, within a second, snapped back with such force that it struck the man by the winch like a giant whip. Dangerous spots on the deck where the ends of a broken rope can fly are called.
That's another thing that kind of fucks with me. I'm not gonna hold you. That's another thing that kind of like
dangerous,
like those huge fucking industrial chains that be on boats and shit. Yo, them bitches are crazy. Like, especially when they drop anchor and you see how fast that shit be moving. Like, it'll move so fast, and you like, bro, this shit weighs tons. This shit hit you, or the way how fast it's moving, let you try to stop it, you're losing a finger, an arm. Yo, nah. And if it hits you, the metal one, I mean, even the, thick ass ropes, but the metal jaws, it's up. Them bitches kind of, you know what I'm saying? I steer clear from them too. They gonna boom you ASAP, for sure.
Spots on the deck where the ends of a broken rope can fly are called snapback zones. Many tragedies have occurred in these zones before markings were introduced. Unfortunately, the man in this video either didn't know the rules or chose to ignore them. But how badly he was injured remains unknown. On another ship, crew members were also working with mooring lines. One of them was performing some task near the chain connecting.
Literally, look at the size of that fucking chain, bruh. Compared to a human, like, bruh, that shit moving at rapid speed. Let it wrap around your body, literally boom your body apart. Like you said, bro. Couldn't have said it better myself. That shit is fucking you up instantly.
Two sections of the rope, and just as the workers signaled to someone off camera and stepped back from the rope, it snapped. The exact consequences of this incident are also unknown, but I suspect it didn't end without a trip to the hospital. Let's hope all these sailors are all alive, because some people get lucky even in the worst circumstances. On September 2nd, 1990, the streets of Vancouver, Canada witnessed the first ever city-hosted race of the championship auto racing teams. Local driver Ross Bentley finished last in the standings, but still qualified. He started the race and was performing well until the 16th lap, when his car stalled on one of the winding turns. A group of marshals immediately rushed to push Bentley's car off the track, As soon as the vehicle regained traction, the marshals hurried back to their posts. However, at that very moment, Willie T. Ribbs' car came around the corner, scattering.
Why is his name so goddamn black? Willie T. Ribbs? That black ass name, boy. Willie T. Ribbs? Goddamn. That name black as a motherfucker. Oh, it's alright. Alright. So, alright. It's almost 3 a.m. now, my time. So, this the deal. This the deal, y'all. I want to do one more reaction. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have it all lined up and then get my stuff together. And then maybe, you know, get some games in. You know, get some games in for about an hour or two. That's going to take us to like damn near 5 in the morning. And then, you know, I'll probably take my big back nap because, you know, I still got a little schedule I need to abide by. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to probably do one more after this and then get into some shit. You feel me? Get into some games.
4 people. Only 22-year-old Jean Patrick Hine was struck directly by the car. He lay unconscious on the track, surrounded by his Hine, the corner, scattering 4 people. Only 22-year-old Jean Patrick Hine was struck directly by the car. He lay unconscious on the track, surrounded by his colleagues, yet the race was not stopped. Hine was taken to the hospital, but he died that same day. Due to the barriers, Ribbs couldn't see the marshals in time, especially at such speed. Ironically, this race marked Ribbs' best performance in the championship. Perhaps the marshals made a catastrophic mistake. Or maybe in 1990, racing rules weren't as strict as today. Or it's just that cars are inherently dangerous, even those with a top speed of only 30 kilometers per hour. Although the warehouse worker featured in this video probably didn't think that way until July 2017. At first, everything seemed normal. The driver was slowly moving between 2 tall shelves on a forklift. Meanwhile, other workers were inspecting boxes that stood neatly in the middle of the aisle. And as the driver approached them, a catastrophe occurred, often dramatized in movies. The driver swerved to avoid the obstacle when suddenly the shelf collapsed. A cascade of boxes pushed the forklift across the aisle, burying it under the contents of the second shelf, which also collapsed. Then the warehouse section began falling one by one, creating a terrifying yet spectacular.
So, I'm not gonna lie, I think I saw some shit like this happen at Amazon. But I don't know what state it was in. And I was just like, bro, see, I'm not gonna hold you. My ass will have one of them days where I'm not really paying attention. I might be like not locked in. It only take one mistake for that shit to be off center, offset, to fall. You bump into it the wrong way, or you put something else on the, like on it, like on the, you know, not the right way. Hell no, bro. Hell no. Not only am I going to be the cause of all of this damage and like fucked up product, nigga, I could die. Like, nah. I'm cool, bro. Not everything is for everybody.
Domino effect. And this wasn't a movie. It was real life. The collapse only stopped after a significant portion of the warehouse had come down. It's unclear where this disaster happened, or if the forklift driver survived. But it seems the fault doesn't lie with the worker. If all it took to bring down half the warehouse was a barely noticeable touch of the forklift roof to a box, then the problem likely lies in the weak construction of the shelves. On March 27th, 2024, there were chilling reports about the Vanderpack factory in Thailand's Chonburi province. At 4:47 a.m., surveillance footage shows 2 workers calmly working in a shop. Suddenly, a robotic arm lowered directly onto one of them, pinning him to the bench where he had just placed a metal sheet. The man didn't even have time to scream, so his colleague had no idea about the horror happening right behind him. The injured worker was eventually freed from the trap, but couldn't be saved. The factory administration claimed the robot was functioning correctly, yet the man had ducked under it at the wrong time. And according to the managers, all employees assumed responsibility for any workplace accidents. In reality, though, this is an unfair shifting of responsibility. The robotic arm should have been equipped with a signal warning of its activation, and the worker's area should have been made as safe as possible, because this wasn't the only factory where such incidents occurred. On similar production lines, the approach to human-robot cooperation is sometimes so irresponsible that machines can take down entire groups of workers in seconds. One of the victims of robots was 49-year-old Mr. Cho. who worked at a porcelain factory in China's Hunan province in 2018. During his shift, a robotic arm on the production line broke and fell. His body was instantly pierced by numerous massive metal rods. There were 10 of them, each 30 centimeters long and 12 millimeters thick. Since most of the rods entered his shoulder, the man survived. However, when the injured worker was brought to the hospital, problems arose. Due to the metal foreign bodies, doctors couldn't perform an X-ray or MRI and had to operate blindly. It turned out that one of the rods nearly hit an artery, passing just 1/10 of a millimeter from it. Surgeons worked all night and managed to save Cho's life. Details about how and why the accident happened are unknown, but it's evident that the safety protocols at this porcelain factory
Today was
need
just like, bro,
improvement.
we just gonna...
A year earlier,
Hopefully we
another
just
Chinese resident, Yang
take
Ming,
these
found
fucking
himself in a similar
rods out,
situation at a
fellas, and
construction
you don't bleed
site.
out or whatever.
During his shift, the 37-year-old
You know what
worker
happened?
made a
I don't
typical
have-
but fatal mistake. He accidentally touched exposed wires. However, the shock threw him directly onto a 120-centimeter metal rod, which passed through Ming's body like a knife through butter. The shocked but conscious man was taken to the hospital, where it became clear just how lucky he was. The rod miraculously missed all vital organs, only slightly grazing the intestines, bladder,
Yeah, did he?
pancreas, liver, and lungs, without causing any bleeding. Ming was still conscious
Any
when he was
bleeding?
taken in for a 7-hour surgery.
He got
The
diddy.
surgeons removed the rod from his body, but still, he had a long road to recovery. And while none of us can predict or avoid every possible threat,
Yikes.
everyone should take care of their safety and demand the same from their employer. So, stay.
W video. That was the end of that, but damn. Yeah, he got diddied. Ouch. Like, they said no bleeding? No bleeding is wild. Like, nigga, huh? Like, what type of nigga is you? No bleeding? I don't know. I don't know. That's kind of crazy. Okay, well, staying on topic, you know what I'm saying? We got 12 of the most bizarre deaths. You know what I'm saying? One more from Echoes. Shout out Echoes. WVid, WVid, you know what I'm saying? WVid. Got one more from Echoes. Gonna knock this one out. It's gonna be our last one of the night. And then, yeah, we're gonna play some games. I ain't gonna lie. You know, try and get into little zombies. I do want to get into some zombies, get into some Terminus. Play some more Liberty. New shit is about to drop, or if not already dropped. And yeah. Guess the tee up, baby. That's nuts. That's nuts, bro. That nigga got shish kebab like that. Fuck.
In Argentina, a simple poodle took several human lives in mere minutes.
A poodle? I bet you there was all white lives. Cause ain't no fucking way. It wasn't. Man, look. I ain't gonna never. I can't put nothing past nothing. But I'd be damned if a nigga get bodied by a poodle. A poodle, my nigga? Maybe a pit bull. Rottweiler. A racist ass German Shepherd. Racist ass golden retriever. But a poodle? Like I said, I'm not gonna put nothing past you because maybe, you know, maybe it had rabies or something, but like a poodle? You don't know how dangerous poodles are. Poodles are really like that? Man. Poodles really like that for real? A poodle? Man. I ain't never seen a poodle bang. I ain't never seen a poodle in no dog fight. Not to say I watch dog fights, but you know, I ain't never seen no poodle bang like that. They bang like that. I ain't never seen no poodle bang. That's cause you watch niggas. White people be dog fighting with poodles and shit. Bro. Don't let me lock in, cause now I'm about to cause you know how I am, bro. Now I want to watch it. Like, hold on, I'm about to do some research. I'm about to look up white people poodle boxing. I'm trying to see that shit. Nigga only wants too tight. 2 types of dogs. Nah, like I know there's other one, but now you got me thinking like I'm about to. I don't want to fuck up my algorithm. Then it's gonna be like, bro, why do you Google poodle dog fights? Let's continue.
In Spain, a hotel room turned into a tomb. At a U.S. plant, a robot murdered its human colleague in cold blood. These are not fantasies designed to catch your attention. They are just some of the top most unusual deaths, which we'll talk about in this video. So, viewer discretion is advised. 68-year-old Alice Wardle and her younger sister, Mildred Bowman, were supposed to meet their family on July 31st, 2005, in Benidorm, Spain. The widowed retirees had arrived from the English town of Gateshead the day before. The former baker and cleaner visited Spain several times every year. But as they weren't particularly wealthy, their chosen place of stay was a 2-star hotel named Levante Club Apartments. They set up a meeting with their family, went to sleep, and disappeared. That is, Alice and Mildred didn't show up at the designated meeting spot the following morning. The two sisters liked having fun, so the family members didn't worry much at first and just went around the pair's favorite places. The women were nowhere to be found, though. After a few more days of fruitless searching, the family officially reported them as missing. Only 4 days later, the maid who worked at the hotel Alice and Mildred were staying at told the police she hadn't managed to enter their room even once, as it had been locked from the inside the entire time. That was exactly where the police found the two women, in the bed. Under it, to be more precise. The pull-down bed's wooden frame fell on Alice and Mildred, virtually burying them alive. Yet the most terrifying thing was that the sisters spent 3 days frantically fighting for their lives. They lacked the strength to push the frame off, and no one heard their screams through the sturdy wood.
I was about to say they weak as fuck, but I forgot they're old. Oh fuck.
Sorry, I farted.
Man, how you gonna ask me what's good and then fart, bro? My mouth was open. It already smelled crazy in here. Niggas been tooting and booting for like 2 hours and 42 minutes. You had to add your ass gas into the mix too? But I was dead ass about to be like, what the fuck? Why couldn't y'all bitches push that shit off? But I forgot they old. That sucks. That actually sucks. But what's good, bro? How you feeling? I'm chilling, vibing, cooling, doing my titty presses. I gotta do 50. I'm at 28, so I'm not good at math. But yeah, I gotta do 50 of these. I'm at 28. And I'm just doing some reactions. Then after this, I'm gonna play some Zombs, maybe play a game or two of Fort, and take a big back nap, and yeah, wake up and start my whole little day. You know what I'm talking about?
Eventually, Alice and Mildred died of asphyxiation just 12 hours before being found. As it turned out, the bed hadn't been secured well enough, and nobody showed the sisters how to set it up correctly, so they didn't know they needed to pull down the legs of the bed. This shifted the weight of the entire structure and the people on it to the wooden casing, which gave in and came away from the wall, causing tragedy. People are predominantly scared of an icicle falling on them in the winter or a brick hitting them near a construction site. However, sometimes there can be unexpected events no one can see coming and avert. One of them happened on October 21st, 1988, in the Argentinian capital of Buenos Aires. On that day, 75-year-old Marta Espina was walking down Rivadavia Avenue. She was a few meters from this intersection, but never reached it. That's because a poodle named Kachi tumbled out of the 13th floor, hit Marta on the head, and killed her instantly. It's unknown how the animal had fallen, but its owners had most likely failed to take care of the necessary safety regulations. Although the poodle died as well, technically it caused 2 more human fatalities. When passerbyers started gathering around Marta Espina's body, Ida Sola was on the other side of the road. She got curious about the fuss and ran to the site of the tragedy across the busy avenue, ignoring the traffic regulations. She was killed by a bus in the middle of the road.
No. You can't say the poodle caught 2 bodies. The poodle caught 1 body. That bitch was being nosy and she was being stupid. She died from being stupid. She ran out there. But why did that poodle jump out of the window and why? Nah, the owners had to have been doing something crazy and the poodle was like, fuck this, I'm out. And maybe didn't realize how far it leaped. And maybe saw that lady's head and was just like, hey, look, this may break my fall. But it didn't. It just killed both of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking that's dead ass animal instinct. Like, if I'm being abused by my owners, you know what I'm saying? And I see a window of freedom, aka a real window, I'm gonna leap out that bitch and I'm gonna be like, oh, fuck. Well, better than my life of slavery. And, you know, if I do see something that looks kind of softer than the ground, aka an old lady head, I'm gonna jump on that old lady head. Old lady head may have saved his life, but, you know, clearly it didn't. It was a little too high.
Man saw the deaths of both Marta and Edith and suddenly felt unwell. He got dizzy.
But Edith was stupid for, like, being nosy and not fucking paying attention to traffic and getting smacked by a bus. Edith was just dumb. She should have minded her fucking business or paid attention to her surroundings better.
Miraculously managed to cross the avenue, asked the employees of a car dealership for help, and went unconscious. Soon, he died of a heart attack. The story of a deadly domino effect set off by a single poodle made rounds worldwide. However, what do you think of a domino, the height of a 2-story building? In 1982, an Arizona man named David Grundman invited his friend on a day trip. They rode far into the desert and stopped. Then Grundman pulled out his shotgun. That wasn't against the state law of gun ownership, but I'm not sure if it's legal to shoot at cacti for fun. However, that was exactly what David started doing. He was ruthlessly murdering small saguaros as if they were the bad guys in the American action movie. The man quickly got bored, though, and turned his attention to a giant saguaro cactus nearby. For the first 75 years of their life, these cacti only grow the central trunk. The lateral branches appear later. In addition, this desert is their only natural habitat. The broad saguaro cactus Grundman picked as his target was almost 100 years old and had grown to nearly 8 meters. The man opened fire, shooting off the massive side branches one by one. He carelessly approached the cactus, failing to consider the possible consequences. All of a sudden, the cactus struck back. Its entire 8-meter-long trunk fell on Grundman so fast that the man didn't even finish the word he'd started shouting. David Grundman died on the spot, crushed by the very cactus that he just shot. The plant could have weighed over 2,200 kilograms.
This is what the plant
Quite often, though, nature turns out deadly for humans, even when it's thought to be impossible. Canadian Taylor Josephine Lucio arrived in Cape Breton Highlands National Park in late October of 2009.
What the cactus do?
She wanted to rest in nature between giving concerts. Not long before this trip, she'd released her debut country album under the stage name Taylor Mitchell and became an instant success. The girl was nominated for a Canadian Folk Music Award as Young Performer of the Year and went on her first tour around the country in her newly bought car. Taylor's life looked perfect, as did the view opening from the Skyline Trail, where on October 27th, the girl met a couple of tourists. The pair and Taylor parted ways and didn't see each other anymore. Soon afterward, though, the couple spotted 2 unusually bold coyotes and later heard their howls. Something about those sounds bothered the tourists. So after reaching a rest spot, they told a group of hikers.
Mills Casino, a wall fell on the construction workers when it was being built.
Being built. Being built. Yeah. I did hear about that shit.
About the strange coyote sighting. However, when the hikers set out on a path, they started stumbling upon someone's personal belongings, among which were keys and a small knife. Eventually, all of this led the hikers to an absolutely horrific scene. A badly bitten and scratched Mitchell lay among the trees, and an angry coyote was standing over her. The tourists barely managed to shoo the animal away from the girl, who was injured but still alive. The entire time before Mitchell was taken to the hospital, the coyote remained near and growled at the rescuers. This happened even though these animals are normally shy, keep away from humans, and aren't considered dangerous for us. That's why Mitchell had absolutely no reason to worry about her safety in the nature park. Unfortunately, the 2 beasts that attacked her were different. Eastern coyotes are a wolf hybrid, which makes them bigger and bolder. The animals who attacked Taylor Mitchell behaved more like wolves. Coyotes usually hunt hares, birds, lizards, and even grasshoppers. However, there wasn't enough small prey in the area, so the predators started hunting moose to survive. That's why they perceived the lonely young girl as an easy target. All of this only became known 13 years after Taylor Mitchell died in the hospital because of blood loss from countless animal bites. This case remains the first and the only known deadly coyote attack against an adult. However, after this, scientists and the government had to revise the status coyotes enjoyed as animals safe for humans. How often does something that's thought to be benign suddenly turn out to be fatal? 75-year-old Judy K. Zagorski from Michigan and her sister set sail near the Florida Keys archipelago, not far from Miami. It was March 18, 2008, and their small boat was taking the two women around a heaven-like seashore area. They were going at approximately 43 kilometers per hour. The water was still, and nothing looked like it could intrude upon their leisure moments. However, all of a sudden, Judy got attacked by a giant spotted eagle ray. It knocked her off her feet, and the woman hit her back on the deck. The ray's wingspan reached up to 1.8 meters, and its weight was around 34 kilograms. A collision with such a large animal at such a great speed could cause serious injuries. So Judy's sister immediately rushed to her. The woman was unconscious, presumably from having hit her head on the deck. However, the reality was much worse than that. The ray's tail punctured Judy's neck with its poisonous spikes. Rays never attack humans, though, let alone mid-air. They jump out of the water to escape predators or shake off parasites, and you can just accidentally end up in their way. Apart from that, they use their tail spikes exclusively for self-defense. So it was nothing but a fatal accident, which killed the ray itself as well. What are the odds of something like this happening to a person on a boat in the open sea? The chances may seem slim, but we know of at least 20 people that were also accidentally killed by rays. One of them was the legendary wildlife conservationist and TV personality Steve Irwin, who had his heart pierced by a ray right in the middle of filming. Eventually, virtually anything in this world can turn out to be deadly. On September 10th, 1983, one of the most unusual serves in the history of tennis happened. On that day, there was a match of one of the world's 4 most prestigious tournaments, the US Open Juniors. A Swede named Stefan Edberg entered the court. It was his first year in professional tennis, and, as it became clear later, this was one of the matches he'd never be able to forget. Apart from the 2 tennis players, another person present on the court is a linesman, a judge who makes sure the ball stays within the court lines. At Edberg's match, it was Richard Wertheim. He was sitting on a chair right across from the net and diligently doing his job, when suddenly Edberg sent an errant serve right into his groin. The force of the impact knocked the linesman down, along with his chair. When help arrived, Wertheim was unconscious and wouldn't come around. Edberg was extremely distressed about injuring the linesman, but Wertheim was immediately taken to the hospital, and it looked like the accident was over. The Swedish tennis player went on to win not just the US Open, but also all 3 junior Grand Slam tournaments, becoming the first and, to this day, remaining the only player to ever achieve this result. Regarding Richard Wertheim, his fight ended 5 days later in the hospital, where he died of a brain hemorrhage. The doctors admitted that Edberg's serve wasn't the immediate cause of death, since Wertheim had chronic cardiovascular disease and had already suffered a heart attack and a stroke. Yet linesmen never sat on chairs near the court again after this accident. However, sometimes people walk into danger without realizing how steep the price can be.
Investigation.
On a frosty morning of February 2nd, 2008, a scary and mysterious event happened in the Bulgarian capital of Sofia. A local biology teacher, Lydia Tsakova, and her husband, Georgi, and her friend, Nadezhda Lebenova, were returning from a funeral of Lebenova's partner. At some point, Lydia stopped the car, and then all 3 of them got out with bottles in their hands and started pouring some liquid into the drain hole. The next moment, a super powerful explosion happened, and the metal hatch cover was hurtling into the air with such force that it decapitated Lydia. Her husband and friend got bad skin scalds and were blinded, but survived. Later, the bottles from which the victims had poured liquids into the sewer were found, and it turned out they contained diethyl ether and methanol, highly flammable, dangerous chemicals that caused the explosion. The poisonous vapors likely made the 3 friends feel dizzy in the car, so they decided to get rid of the substances. question of where they got the chemicals and what they were using them for remains. At first, the police came up with a version according to which the biology teacher, Lydia Tsukowski, was just too into chemical experiments in her spare time. But had that been the case, she would have known for sure that such liquids were not to be poured into the sewer. It's also unlikely that she'd taken them to a funeral. Moreover, a bit later, the police found 10 liters of sulfuric acid and 5 liters of nitric acid in Nadezhda Lebenova's house. What she and the Sukov couple needed all these chemicals for remains unknown to this day. However, it looks like they'd made a deadly mistake that took the life of one of them and broke the fate of those who stayed alive. Quite often, people want to change something for the better. If they fail, they can make thoughtless steps that end in tragedy. A resident of Hampshire, England, Mark Gleason had a serious snoring problem that developed after a traffic accident. His snoring bothered him and didn't let his partner sleep. Gleason had gone to doctors to solve the problem, but they had bad news for him. His post-accident trauma made the snoring incurable. Gleason was in despair. He just wanted to fall asleep and wake up next to the woman he loved, but this was off limits due to his insufferable snoring. So the couple decided to solve the problem on their own by resorting to an unexpected and reckless experiment. On a March night in 1996, before going to bed, Gleason's partner gave him 2 tampons, which he put in his nostrils and secured with glue so they wouldn't fall out at night. He hoped this would stop him from snoring. Although this situation seems funny, it ended in a tragedy. Gleason took his sleeping pills and went to sleep on the first floor while his partner went to rest in a room on the second floor. That was why she didn't hear him start choking in his sleep.
Nah, that was an assassination. That was dead ass a way for her to get him out the way. And he was probably just dumb enough to believe it. Or, wait, no, he said he took sleeping pills. He was probably out of it, loopy, dumb enough to believe it. He was like, oh yeah, here, honey, just put these in your nose or whatever. Bro, cause what? Yeah, she's either dumb or sadistic as fuck. And he's probably just, gullible and dumb as fuck as well. Well, even dumber. Or just super green. Either way, nigga, what? Glued tampons in my nose and take some sleeping pills? Nigga, what? That's crazy.
And die of asphyxiation before he even woke up. It all started with a genuine desire not to cause discomfort to the people around. An enterprise in Flat Rock, Michigan wanted to make the work of its employees easier. On January 25th, 1979, a young worker named Robert Williams started work at Ford Motor Company's Michigan Casting Center. He was chipping away at his usual tasks until he was asked to go to the storage rack to count parts manually, since the machine responsible for this work started giving erroneous inventory readings. Yet, apart from Williams, a manipulator robot was also working in the storage space. It was performing its task of searching for parts alongside Robert. At some point, however, the robotic arm attacked the man all of a sudden, hitting him on the head. Then, it went on doing its work like nothing had happened. Only half an hour later, Williams' colleagues went to look for him and found his already dead body. He died instantly of a traumatic brain injury. The man's family filed a lawsuit since Williams couldn't have avoided this catastrophe. There was neither a sound alert of the robot approaching, nor a mechanism that would turn it off when a human was around. Nothing at all. It was the first officially registered death of a human at the hands of a robot, which some journalists dubbed the start of the rise of the machines. The name seems accurate, since from 1992 to 2017, 41 workplace deaths caused by robots were recorded in the US. In 2005 alone, 77 machine-caused accidents happened in the UK. Recently, rumors of military AI robots having killed 29 scientists either in Japan or South Korea started circulating online. Ultimately, it all turned out to be fake news created by people whose imagination got overexcited by old sci-fi. If the machines do start killing people, there'll definitely be a video about it on my channel.
We gotta get rid of our technology, y'all. It's about to be up for us. We gotta get rid of our technology. We gotta go back to the Stone Age where we just talk on landlines and send like handwritten mails and shit. Damn.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough. Would y'all be willing to do that shit? Literally like disconnect from everything? Whoops.
Nigga, did I just catch you wanting to be shit?
I mean, I think I might be willing to do that. Some shit like that. But, I'm not gonna lie. This is kind
Thank you
of,
for your patronage.
this is kind of
It's about to be
therapeutic.
420 for me. Let's run some fort my guy then hop back on your BS.